Very well said.
Clearly, yeah. All right, we're going to talk about Tory Lanez.
Is you're around some kind of the Foreign Relations Committee, and you're from Florida. Why did you take such an interest in this case?
Specifically, how I got involved in this case is I actually am friends with Amber Rose, and she had flagged it for me. And when I actually spoke to the attorneys that are representing Mr. Lanez, they actually presented me with evidence. When I saw the evidence that was brought forward, we're talking about no forensics DNA on the magazine of the pistol, a 0.01 DNA match, which effectively means that he could not have been the shooter, to include there being ring footage that really refutes and dispels the testimony that, you know, he had basically said dance and then fired the firearm. In addition to that, they're also being missing ballistics fragments from the alleged, you know, shot in the foot, as well as medical x-rays. All of this does indeed show and prove that Mr. Lanez, unfortunately, is being incarcerated and he's an innocent man.
Is this the new evidence that you had tweeted about? This ring video, you said there's a ring video that will refute?
It was actually brought to my knowledge by the attorneys, and we actually had posted that on one of our X platforms, that there's allegedly ring video footage that refutes the statements and I would say hearsay comments in court testimony.
Have you seen it, and is it going to be released?
I'm actually actively pushing for the release of that. And there's also an affidavit that the attorneys have actually shown me already that actually came from, we will be presenting that and posting that publicly for everyone to see in the coming days.
If I was...
All right, I'm going to stop it right there, though. Yeah, the ring footage, and I forgot, the bodyguard had came out and said he didn't see anything, or was that the driver?
I believe both of them couldn't present enough to lean in either direction.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, the question, the biggest question that I have is Tory Lanez put himself in a terrible situation, okay? And I'm not blaming Tory Lanez for getting himself, locked up, because he probably thought he was going to get a slap on the wrist or some type of probation, maybe a year or two or something, if that. He was trying to protect another woman from going to prison and ends up going to prison for at least 10 years himself. This has got to be one of the dumbest things, that he just threw his life away just to protect this woman from Meg's wrath. Meg has made inaccurate statements about this case, where she said publicly that she did not sleep with Tory Lanez. Come to find out in court, she did bust it down for Tory Lanez. So for the people thinking that, Meg Thee Stallion is innocent or whatever the case is, nothing's going to happen to Meg. Unfortunately, this is more of a conversation that men, you cannot be throwing your life away for something as frivolous as this. I hope Tory Lanez does get a new trial or at least get pardoned. But men in general, you just can't be throwing your life away just to protect some woman, though. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, this is just like kind of a wild conversation. You idiots throw your lives away for like a lot of things. So don't even tell me that you wouldn't throw your life away for this Meg Thee Stallion situation. Like, men just have to just think about what's more important. And also, it being away from your family, giving up your life, is that more important, just to make sure that this person who did actually do the crime, and if it comes out to be true, she should be the one behind bars, not Tory Lanez. And then Meg should also be behind bars for giving a false statement, though. But again, the justice system doesn't like to put women behind bars unless they've done something extremely heinous. Sometimes that's generally doing with the kids, is when a woman goes behind bars or they kill somebody, or delete somebody. But again, it just doesn't really happen for a lot of men. And so you're going to have to move a little bit differently, though. We actually have two cases, the Diddy case and this case, where a lot of men will say, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. This stuff happens to men all the time. And then we get in this justice system again, the state suppressed, or not suppressed, but they gave a deal to the other witness. What do you think she's going to say? She's not going to say anything that's going to paint her in a bad light.
Yeah, and I had to go back real quick and review. So they talked about DNA evidence and they talked about ballistic evidence. The DNA evidence shows that there's a 90% probability that the shooter or a male touched the gun at some point. Not necessarily him, it just says a male. And then the ballistic evidence, there were some issues with the casings and the trajectories of the shooting. It just didn't align with the story that was being told in the trial. So there was some doubt there. We can go back and forth. I'll leave it to the legal experts on if that's enough to do a conviction. But it seems to me like this was decided by the court of public opinion before anything else.
Facts.
Because what really irks me the most about this case, and it's starting to come back to me little by little, I believe he had a silence order put on him, so he couldn't even try to defend himself in
Oh,
the
the
court
gag
of
order.
public opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a gag order. He had a gag order, so they silenced him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Meg was able to go on, and I'll never forget this. She went on Breakfast Club and she made statements about how Black women aren't protected, particularly by Black men. So she threw her shots, and she threw a couple of strays. So I'm curious to see how this evidence is. I'm hoping this will finally put this to an end. But I think the more interesting conversation here, TR, well, not more interesting, but an interesting side note. Amber Rose and Kim Kardashian have actually made political contributions. Kim Kardashian had a hand in the First Step Act, which was much more significant. I know a lot of people that have to come home because of that.
Yeah.
And now we got Amber Rose. Ever since she's converted to a Republican, I honestly thought she was just doing it for clicks, but it seems like she's doing some sort of justice system activism with some of the people that she considers friends. So I've always said if the Republicans can get this message out here that they care about Black people just as much as they do everybody else, they're going to steal so many votes away. And if this woman is successful in leading the charge to overturn some of this, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, her following is going to go up, her donations might go up, and she might steal some more voters away in Florida. So there's some strategy here too.
I don't know. I'm just not confident that that'll be the case for a lot of folks coming out to want to switch the party though, because I thought there'd be more of a gap when we got the exit poll results with in the Black community though, because you have more than enough evidence to show that the Democrats don't care about the Black community. It's only when they need your vote. And I haven't heard any rumblings about someone leading the charge to create their own party that represents the Black community so you can have your own voice. And honestly, I think it's kind of too late though, because even if all the Black people would have voted in that election, it still wouldn't have been enough to swing the election. So now the vote is worth less than it was, back in this past election. So maybe there'll be a conversation for some other people to come over to the other side though. But I mean, it's weird that no one else is actually coming to Tory Lanez's defense. Like I don't know what this woman's nationality is, but it's not Black. So it's interesting that folks are not coming over to say like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should take another look at this. Maybe we should have a conversation.
She's Mexican American, by the way.
Gotcha. So maybe we should have a conversation that when it comes to men, or not men, but when it comes to like these type of cases, we need to start paying attention to how the justice system, how that process moves, because it wasn't right. It wasn't the the way that people think the justice system works, maybe because of TV, because TV makes you think that it's going to be fair. It's not fair. It's anything but fair. When it comes to like, picking the jury, they screen out the jurors that they don't want. They screen out the jurors that are going to be problematic to the case, or at least the prosecuting team does. Obviously, the defense wants the right jurors in there, but the prosecutors, they want the opposite. They want people that don't look like you and that are going to be against you. They're either feminists, simps, weak, people that would say, hey, the law is the law. That's the type of people that they want. And knowing damn well there's some nuances within the law, especially when you give a deal to the other witness who may have been the one that pulled the trigger. That's the biggest issue though. So yeah, we'll stay updated on this one. Hopefully Tory Lanez does get his shot. I'd like to see what the ring footage looks like though, because Meg did say he pointed the gun at her, and I mean, even the evidence says there was not a DNA match, but whatever. So we'll see what the ring footage says. And I think Meg actually came out and said, you guys still don't believe me? I'm like, it doesn't even matter now because he spent 2 years now in prison. So it's not like you're gonna go to jail. But that's my final thoughts.
If if this evidence comes out and somehow this case gets overturned, at some point we got to have a conversation about, and this is going to be a very painful conversation about black women that pretend they like black men, but they secretly hate them.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario.
I feel like we got enough examples to show that they don't. Well, women in general, I don't think they love men as much as they used to. I think men are a means to an end for a lot of them. And I think that, if they can, whatever the situation, if they're being charged or whatever, they're going to sell you out. They're going to sell you out quickly. So, good luck to the folks thinking that they're going to find their one true love, though. But make no mistake, something happens. More likely, unless she's your wife, she's going to sell you out.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get you with doom and gloom like TR is, but I also recognize my story is unique. But I stand on it. All I'm saying is vet properly. Ask the right questions and vet properly. They'll show you what they always do.
Yes, guys, vet properly. I think MC, I think you need to come out with like an ebook telling people how to vet properly, though. I think they appreciate that.
That's gonna be a long ass book. I can promise you that.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was a good show. Final words, MC?
No, that's it. Another one for the books, man. I appreciate it, man. People walk up on me that listen and know me personally, and they just be having the wildest comments. Someday we're gonna have a segment called Lovers and Friends or something like that. We're gonna have to start bringing out some of the hate and some of the love that we give. It's mostly love, though, so I ain't tripping. And even if you don't like me or TR, honestly, we really don't care. We're not about to sit up here and get worked up on people that don't know.
Don't put me in there. They're talking about you.
No, you get smoked too. They just deliver it through me. I just don't tell you because I know you don't care.
Yeah, I don't. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Peace.